You've got 37 seconds to get off this property before I have you arrested for criminal trespass. That's what Margaret Hutchinson screamed at me. And here's the kicker, I was standing in my own kitchen clutching the deed I'd paid 47 grand cash for just 3 days before. The sun was shining through the busted blinds I hadn't fixed yet, throwing stripes across her furious face, and behind her 3 dudes in Clearwater security vests stood with their hands resting. Not gripping, just resting on their holsters, fingers twitching like they were waiting for the green light. I'm telling you, you ever seen a moment where you just know you're in over your head? That was mine right there before I'd even finished my first cup of coffee in what I thought was my peaceful new lakefront cabin. And here's the wildest part. Margaret wasn't bluffing. The sheriff actually would show up and haul me off my own property inside of 10 minutes. Sirens already echoing out there, getting closer with every tick of the clock. Because Margaret had something in her back pocket that I didn't even know existed. A document that supposedly made my legal deed worthless, turned my dream into a crime. But she made a mistake that morning. 2, actually. She didn't know I'd wired the whole cabin with security cams on day 1. And she definitely didn't know that the feds had been tracking her family's dirty dealings for a year and a half. And this'll make you laugh, I wasn't just some random city guy looking for a DIY project. Let me back up a second. Back up a damn yeah. 3 days earlier, I was just a burnt-out IRS investigator named Mason Sterling, staring at spreadsheets and breathing in recycled cubicle air, tracking down other people's tax fraud. After 15 years of following paper trails for the government, something inside me just broke. Maybe it was the headaches from the neon lights. Maybe it was my boss clipping his nails during meetings. I don't know, but I hit a wall. That's when I found it a lakefront cabin on some weird county auction site at 2 in the morning. Needs work. Cash only. 72-hour closing. The picture looked like something out of a horror movie, caved-in roof, boarded windows, vines choking the porch. I should have run, but something about it called to me. Maybe the way the mist clung to the water, maybe the trees hiding it from the world, maybe I just needed a challenge. If you're thinking this was too good to be true, you're right. And if you can already smell something fishy, trust your gut and go ahead. Drop a comment if you've ever tangled with a shady HOA or property deal. But I had my reasons. See, 2 weeks before I found the listing, Derek Coleman, a buddy from my IRS days, called me up hinting about a string of buyers who'd picked up cabins through that same auction and vanished within 3 months. FBI can't touch it yet. Not enough evidence. But if you want one hell of a retirement project, Mason. So yeah, I wasn't just looking to swing a hammer. I wanted to see what the hell was going on out in Clearwater Bay. The drive out from Seattle felt like time travel. By the time the GPS quit, I was deep in pine woods, following hand-scribbled directions from a half-awake county clerk. Every house I passed had curtains that twitched. No one outside, no kids, just the kind of silence where you hear your own heartbeat and start second-guessing everything. When I finally rolled up to the cabin, it looked worse than the photos. The porch was a write-off. I had to climb in through a busted window. The smell hit me right away, mold rodent crap and something chemical. But I'm nothing if not stubborn. Money was already wired, so I set up camp in the one corner that didn't seem likely to collapse. Now I'll tell you what, set off my old investigator instincts that first night behind a loose closet panel. Someone had scratched a message deep into the wood. They watch everything. Get out. Real cheery, right? The next morning I'm up on the roof scoping out the damage when I noticed something weird. Cameras dead, wires cut, but someone had been monitoring this place from every angle. That's when I heard tires crunching on gravel. Up rolls a spotless white Escalade, moving careful, like the driver knows every pothole. Out steps Margaret Hutchinson, though I didn't know her name then. 60-something silver hair, so stiff it might survive a Hurricane Pearl's gleaming pastel suit straight from a country club catalog. And right behind her a deputy, her son, as I'd learned, leaning on the Escalade with one hand on his weapon, eyes like frostbite. "Welcome to Clearwater Bay," Margaret chirped, all fake sweetness. I'm president of the Homeowners Association. Thought I'd bring a little welcome basket and some important information about our community. I climbed down slow, keeping my hands visible. She studied my place like she was appraising it for a quick flip. I said, "Appreciate it, but I bought this place specifically because there's no HOA jurisdiction." Her laugh was pure, glass-sharp, and dangerous. "Oh, that's a common misunderstanding. All properties within 5 miles are ours. Been that way since '87. Out comes an official-looking folder. Here's your membership packet. Fees are $500 a month plus a late fee since you missed the first." I took it but said I'd have to check my deed. She didn't like that her smile twitched eyes cold. Deeds get complicated. What matters is community harmony and following the rules. "Brett here patrols the area," she said, nodding at the deputy. "He'll make sure you're safe." Brett just touched his hat. Could have been a threat or a warning. After they left, I noticed fresh tire tracks by the woods. Someone had crept up during the night close enough to watch me sleep. That evening, I did what I do best, dug into records. The original HOA was 5 miles off, but in 2019, some emergency annexation expanded their turf signed by Judge Walter Hutchinson, Margaret's brother. No vote, no notice, just a rubber stamp. I was deep in paperwork when I heard footsteps on the porch, soft, cautious, trying not to wake the dead. The knock was barely a whisper. An old woman, Rachel Morrison, stood there nervous as a squirrel. "You need to leave before Sunday," she whispered. "That's when they make their real move." Turns out the Hutchinsons had a system. Cut your utilities plant drugs, have Brett arrest you. File paperwork while you rot in jail, claim the property as abandoned. When I asked how many Rachel showed me a notebook, Arthur, Jennifer, the Blackwoods, all gone. If you fight back, you get accidents. Like Susan Blackwood now in a care facility after falling at the courthouse. So why warn me? Rachel shrugged. 40 years in this place, and Margaret had destroyed it piece by piece. The FBI came once. Nothing happened. Margaret's family controls the judge, sheriff, medical examiner. You can't win. She also told me about Theodore Brennan, the original owner, Margaret's biggest opponent on the board. Died of a heart attack on a hike. No autopsy. After Rachel slipped out, I sat in my empty cabin thinking about all the people who'd been ruined or killed. The easy thing would have been to bail, but I'd spent my career chasing crooks for strangers. Now it was personal. The next morning, water was shut off, padlock on the main service suspended pending HOA compliance. I called the utility. They had no record of any shut-off. Illegal as hell, but who was going to enforce it? That afternoon, 6 men in Clearwater security vests rolled up. Captain Hartley, ex-military type, clipboard in hand. "You need to sign this compliance agreement, pay your fees, and submit your repairs for approval, or things get uncomfortable." While his guys inspected my truck and measured distances, he rattled off violations, 12 each, $500 daily fines starting tomorrow. "Go to court if you want," he sneered. "Judge Hutchinson runs that show. Blatant corruption, no shame at all." That night I couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m. someone started jiggling my lock. I yanked open the door, bat in hand. It was Brett off duty, but armed with another guy clutching a crowbar. "Just checking on you," Brett said, stone-faced. "Breaking and entering is a felony, deputy." He didn't blink. "You should have just paid." After they left, I uploaded every recording to the cloud, texted Derek, set up more cameras. The next day, power cut, generator sabotaged with sugar in the tank, cell tower down for maintenance. They were closing in. That's when Samuel Cooper left me a note meet at the old boat launch at sunset. Turns out Samuel had the original HOA documents, real survey maps, my property miles outside their territory. Margaret altered the records. She's been stealing land for 20 years. You try reporting it, you lose your house. Or worse. He told me about a sealed mine shaft where Brett had been spotted late at night. People go missing. You connect the dots. I had a choice: run to the FBI or risk everything to nail these people for good. What would you do? Let me know in the comments, because honestly, I almost bailed. Instead, I played possum, made it look like I was giving in. Margaret and crew showed up with a generous $10,000 buyout on a property worth 5 times that. Or you can fight us and get arrested for drugs we found on your land this morning. I said I'd think about it. One of her goons dropped a briefcase inside. I saw forged deeds for 8 other cabins, all signed over to the HOA with fake signatures. That night they came for me, breaking glass footstep smoke. Brett called out on a megaphone, "Exit immediately for your safety." If I did, I'd be arrested for planted drugs. If I stayed, I'd suffocate. So I crawled under the cabin to a vent, watched them find bags of meth, heard Margaret on the radio. Processed the scene file abandonment paperwork. The property is ours by sunrise. I filmed it all with hidden cameras. At dawn, as Brett moved in to arrest me, black SUVs rolled up FBI badges shining. "Step away from Mr. Sterling," Agent Patricia Coleman ordered. Suddenly, the whole Hutchinson clan was surrounded, arrested for racketeering, conspiracy, fraud, and murder. Murder. The look on Margaret's face when she realized I'd been recording everything, man, you can't buy satisfaction like that. The mineshaft FBI had found 3 bodies. Turns out those missing owners never left. Rachel cried when she heard the news. We all suspected, but we were too scared to speak up. Samuel said, "Is it really over?" "It's just beginning," Patricia replied. "But with witnesses like you, we'll bury them in court." 3 months later, the trial was front-page news. Lake House murders, they called it. 7 murders, millions stolen, years of intimidation, and forged documents. The worst part, Margaret never showed a hint of guilt. She truly believed she was the hero of her own story, protecting her community from chaos. But her own nephew flipped, provided recordings, emails, and proof. The jury came back in 4 hours, guilty on every count. Margaret, Brett, David, and the whole rotten crew got life without parole. The rest got decades. After sentencing, Patricia asked me how it felt. "Empty," I said. All those lives destroyed, and for what? Clearwater Bay had to start over. I bought up 3 more parcels, helped rebuild, and we created a real neighborhood association, voluntary, transparent, run by Samuel with strict bylaws and term limits. The old mine shaft became a memorial not just for the named victims, but for everyone who'd ever suffered in silence. The state passed a new law, Mason's Law, though I lobbied to name it after the victims. Now, no HOA can annex property without the owner's approval, and there are real penalties for harassment and fraud. And me, I still live in that cabin. Finished the renovations, built a deck overlooking the lake. Framed Margaret's old "No Trespassing" sign with a plaque. This property protected by the First, Second, and Fourth Amendments, the FBI, and one very stubborn owner. Derek still calls me for tips. Sometimes I help other victims fight back against corrupt HOAs across the Northwest. The last I heard of Margaret, she was in solitary for trying to run an HOA in prison. Brett keeps getting transferred. Turns out corrupt cops don't do well on the inside. Judge Hutchinson died of a real heart attack, checked thoroughly this time. Most nights I stand on my deck and watch the sunset, thinking of the folks who never got justice and the price of letting bullies run unchecked. Our memorial says it best. They stood their ground. The cabin stands strong, but what really matters is this. Sometimes a fixer-upper isn't just about a house. Sometimes it's about fixing a whole community. And if you ever find yourself staring down a corrupt HOA, just remember, document everything. Don't give up. And maybe, just maybe, you'll win. So what do you think, is justice ever really served? Or is it just the best we can do? Let me know below. And if you've got your own HOA horror story, I'm all ears.